Ps4, how do you make four-legged animals, monsters, or creatures? So it's actually really simple. Way that I do it, there's probably lots of ways to do this, but this is the way that I do it, just so you can get a rundown of what the logic is. It's simple logic: left stick into a NOT gate, two NOT gates, then this NOT gate's output into the second NOT gate's input. The first one NOT gate's input is just left stick from your control sensor into there, and then the NOT gate's output for the first one into a keyframe. What this keyframe does is just keeps the legs from moving, if that makes sense. So you'll just want to L1 and X on that keyframe, then just move these accordingly, wherever, however much you want to move them. This right here is your idle animation. Like if you're not going to be walking, that's what this keyframe represents, your idle animation when you're not walking. And the reason you want to do this with this keyframe is because if you don't, this will happen. So you want this keyframe to make the legs stiff. This is the way that I do it. I'm sure other people do it their own way. Again, this for all my limbs, it's the ball joint, this setting for every limb, and then I turn the ball joint to the side to where the circle is facing that way, making it to where I can move this like this. Now, when you are animating your walking animations, you want to make sure you turn this keyframe off, and how you do that is just by unplugging it. The reason why you want to have this off while you're making your walk animations, and the second NOT gate, plug its output into the timeline, which is your walk animation, which should be set to loop, and change the speed however much you want to. Check out my animation tutorial if you guys need to know how to make walking animations. I'll also explain it near the end of this tutorial also. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. I'm Young Tech's YouTube and Dreams. And join the Dreams PS4 Amino if you guys want to. So where were we? The walking animation. You want to make sure you unplug this keyframe right here while you're doing your animations. Otherwise, it makes it hard to animate. So that's the only reason you want to unplug this before you start animating right here, is so that way whenever you start animating, this keyframe won't get in the way of your animating. Here's how I animated the limb for a four-legged animal. I'll tell you the process. Each one of these keyframes is on linear. This first and last keyframe have no data at all, making a transition effect. These two keyframes, as you can tell by the movement of the limbs down there, they do have data. This one's data looks like this, you can kind of see. And this one's data looks like this. The exact opposite almost. So one, let's get closer to it. So this data is this leg this way, this leg forward, these two legs, this one should be like forward and this one should be backwards. And then this one's more backwards, this one's forward, and this one's backwards, and this one's forward. So you can kind of see it's like the opposite of what it was. That's how you make these. And this one has no data, this one has no data. Set it to linear, and then make sure the size of the timeline is about this much roughly. It says 21 up here. When you complete it, it's like 40, maybe 50, 60. So that's how long it should be. And then the time is 156. That's what I'm doing. You can delete the poses, because these are your poses now. You might want to delete these. And what I did to actually get this puppet, like the purple thing underneath it, all I did was I pulled out this guy, I wanted an X on it, deleted it, and then I started making my sculpture. How I made this guy was I went to sculpt mode, custom shape, so my first limb, placed it, start new sculpture. Second leg, placed it, start new sculpture. Third leg, placed it, start new sculpture. Fourth leg, placed it, start new sculpture. Then once you get 4, and they're all different sculptures to where they don't move at the same time if you were to move them, you would double tap. You would untap the microchip so you're not cloning the microchip. Downsize it, however much you want to downsize it by. And clone. And this would be how you would make your limbs for a 4-legged animal. And then you just add the ball joints. Maybe downsize these top portions, or maybe it's the bottom portions that get smaller. I know one portion's supposed to get smaller. I'm just assuming it's the top one. So maybe downsize all these at the same time. After you adjust them. You might want to link these. I'm not sure if you have to. I didn't have to, but you might want to. And after you downsize them, move them to where they're not like overlapping like mine was for the first one. And this is how you would like make a dog. And then you make the body and whatnot. After you're done with it, what you want to do is press L1 and square, or not L1 and square. First do this. For all the sculpt parts, this is actually really important, listen. You want to press L1 and square and make them not collidable. Very important. That's one of the most important steps. So any sculpture that you make for a character, you want to make sure it's not collidable. Because the real hitbox, or the real thing that's going to be collidable is this right here, this bubble. You might want to downsize it, put it closer to the character. Make it as big as the character needs to be. Another thing that you want to do, you might not need to do this, you might need to, is go here and you don't have to do this, but all the body parts, arm, you might want to do this. You don't have to though, but it adjusts the size of this purple thing down there. Arm, and then this one or this one would be like the body. Then after you're done with that, all that, and putting the ball joints down, you know what I'm saying? I'll go ahead and lay one ball joint down just so you guys can see what I'm saying. Connect it from the top to the bottom. Press L1 and square on it. Click this one. Then aim at that. Like, you'll have to mess with it to get it to where it's like perfect, you know? Otherwise, if you do it like this, it'll move that way, you know? So you have to get it perfect, but it's not hard to. And you want to make sure your limbs are placed properly first, or you can like L1 and X it if you need to move it to where whenever you're moving the arm, the bottom part doesn't overlap the top part whenever you move it backwards, you know, like that. But yeah, that's how you would do that. And I guess whenever, because it seems like I don't need the this keyframe for this one, and I'm not sure if that's because I chose the structure. That may have actually been what fixed that. It seems since I chose the structure, let's test something out. You might want to choose the structure first. It might actually be a big deal. Not sure if it is. Doesn't seem like it is. So yeah, oh, it's because I made it non-collidable. That's why. That has to be it. That has to be it. Oh, it's because it's not playing. So yeah, everything was like boggling my mind for a second. You can link them together. I don't know if that'll do anything. That might keep it from moving. Nope. So you don't have to link them with this tutorial, but this is everything that I know. This is how I do it. And then you just apply the logic that I applied, you know. This keyframe keeps the things from moving and, you know, wagging. And this it makes it to where you have your walk animations. The second thing you can do, or the last thing you can do, is press L1 and square on it, and then you can adjust the feet separation, all this stuff, and all this stuff. Turn down the motion sensor, turn off auto look, and turn this stuff off if you want to. If it's interfering with the animations that you're creating, turn off the procedural walk and procedural animation since you're making your own. And again, mess with that hitbox however much you want to, because this is good for wall detection. Check out my hitbox tutorials if you want to know why this is so important to do this. And then you want to label it, whatever you want to label it. And then you've got a puppet that walks. Final thing I would say, go here, here, this, force possession. And then check out my other tutorials. So if you enjoy the way that I do it, if this looks easier to you, it's pretty. You could probably do this in 10 minutes with my method. Then feel free to use it. How you make animals, how I make animals. Enjoy it. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Look at my channel playlist tutorials if you need them. And peace.